Good morning YouTube. 9 days to go. If you followed along so far, you will have seen the progress that I've made, the improvements that I've made to myself, both from a diet perspective and from a performance perspective, and they both go hand in hand really, but I'm not going to chat about that now because I want to tell you about today's session, or rather this whole week, like what I'm going to be doing this week. So the wedding went really well on the weekend. Obviously didn't want to take a camera along and get in the way of a good time. Had some great food, I have to admit, so I'm all fooded out now, if that's such a word. So this morning's weight was 59.5 kilos. Current FTP is around about, I haven't really done a 20-minute test, but it's around about 355-ish. We're going to be doing a 10-mile time trial on Thursday night, so that will kind of give a better indicator. The lowdown on this week, rejigged a few things around because we're doing a lot more fun rides, fun intervals this week, and they will allow me to kind of switch off and enjoy my bike riding, which is something that, even though I do a lot of anyway, because of the people that I get to ride with, it's something that, like, you know, when you're doing intervals and efforts, like, it's always really specific. Well, this week I can afford to enjoy myself and do efforts that are very much what I like to do. So I'm using Strava. I'm finding some climbs that I've never really ridden up hard before, and I'm just doing some efforts on them. It's key, I think, this week, and I'm just sharing my own thoughts here, but it's key that I don't get too tired. Like, we're 9 days away from my target event. I don't want to get too tired. Like, I don't want to do too much training that I feel rotten. I feel like I want to eat loads. I feel like, you know, because at the end of the day, like, the more you train, obviously the more tired you get, the more inflammation in the body, and therefore the more you have to eat. And, like, you know, your body is always kind of playing catch up or struggling a little bit. So I never want to feel like that this week. What I want to feel is like right on that balance, like right on that cusp of, like, yeah, I don't feel tired, I go out and train tomorrow, no problem, I feel good. Yeah, that's how I want to feel. By the way, I'm really sorry that the sun's behind me because you can't really see me, but this is like the only chance I'm gonna have to talk to you properly. So today, in order for me to fulfill that vision of not being too tired but still doing enough to facilitate work and some gains, we're basically looking at doing 4 efforts, 2 of the same length and the other 2 of the same length as well. So we've already done the first one. The first one was about 12 minutes on a very, very long drag, and it allowed me to do 40 seconds zone 5, right at the top of zone 5, almost zone 6, and then 20 seconds upper zone 1, borderline zone 2, and I kept doing that basically until I got to the top of the long drag, which again took 12 minutes. Now, it doesn't actually take a lot out of you because of the way the effort is structured, so it actually benefits a lot of people, and there's no real cap as to how long you can do it for. I've done a 22-minute length one once, but they can benefit an awful lot of riders. It's all about that changing of pace and making yourself comfortable with that uneven pace. So that came out as a 350 normalized, because I was riding about 420 watts for the 40 seconds and then 200 watts for the 20 seconds. And then we're about to do 2 5 to 8 minute climbs, but they'll be done at zone 5, or at least anywhere between 375 and 420 watts. Anywhere around there will be fine. These will be the hardest efforts of the day, mainly because they'll just be, you know, solid, steady state efforts. And then the last effort, which doesn't actually come along after that third effort, is a 12 to 15 minute climb with the same 40-20s. So I'll check in with you at the end to see how I feel. How beautiful is this up here? Back in the winter, this used to be absolutely atrocious. Like the top of Bynea Cycling, which is kind of like, I wouldn't say it's the highest point in the area, but it's definitely one of. You can see like for miles and miles in both directions. It's around about 250 meters above sea level. So I've just finished. Oh my word, it's so hot. I'm so sweaty. So we've just finished a ride technically. The last effort was 15.5 minutes from the bottom of Pontiet. It climbs, it goes flat, it climbs, goes flat, and then it climbs up through the lane to the top of Cycling up here. So 15 minutes from the very bottom, and I did 40-20s the whole way up. Not as good as the first set of 40-20s, but that's because of the road surface and the fact that I was like changing gradients a lot of the time, but still good. So the 2 hours in total, we've done 290 normalized power, so that's like just as hard as any road race in the first 2 hours basically. We've climbed 1200 meters in 2 hours, and it's been really nice. It's been really nice to actually do a loop where like I don't have to think about the climbs because the climbs are there. I've just got to do the efforts on the climbs. That's part one of today done. Get home, I'm gonna have some protein pancakes. I found a new recipe actually, by the way, if any of you fancy some. We're gonna roll back home now. It's all downhill home. It's like the best way to end a bike ride. The best.
Alright guys, just a real quick one actually, because it's come up in conversation a few times over the last, I don't know, week or so. A really interesting topic as well, but I thought I'd just share it for the last like minute of this video. But this time of year, especially for what I'm training for at the minute, I'm actually spending a lot of time in zones 4, 5, 6. Now it all depends on what you're training for, but for me, specifically, I'm training for like this hill climb, this one effort, so to speak. So a lot of my time has been spent in zone 1 and zones 4, 5 and 6. There's a really good graph on Training Peaks that'll actually show you these things. Particularly, so like in the winter generally I'll be something like, I don't know, most of my time, there'll be very little time spent in zone 1, but there'll be a lot of time spent in zones 2, 3, for example. I'm just like saying like for argument's sake here, but like in the winter I'll generally make the most of every second I spend on the bike. So when you hear me talking about like literally zone 2 ride, I will ride zone 2 everywhere as long as it's safe to do so, obviously, but like descent, you know, anywhere, things like that. But when I'm doing rides like yesterday's ride, because this is the day after, the focus is on those efforts. Like I cannot focus on those efforts enough. So I will literally like do zero pedaling on the descents. I'll recover everywhere, especially if I'm doing efforts as hard as the ones yesterday. And in total, it like really adds up to like, if I'm doing a 2 hour ride, I end up spending like 20% of that ride in like zone 5. So there's a lot of work being done in a short space of time. So you have to make sure that you recover properly. I'm not here to like lecture you or teach you to like recover properly or whatever, but I'm just using my own like data as an example. It's just something I thought I'd share because, like I said, it's come up in conversation quite a bit. It's, again, it differs from like what type of training you're doing. Like if I was trying to prepare for an event where I'll be doing multiple long climbs, then I may well replace the zone 1 rest periods with like zone 2 or maybe zone 3 if I'm trying to mix it up a bit. It's about being like creative with it, but all in all, like recovery is really important for these efforts because they're so hard and you can't really do them back to back to back to back on consecutive days. You can, but there's only, you know, a certain amount you can do. But yeah, it's like this time of year there's an awful lot of zone 1 riding, and then it kind of like steps down just like that. So yeah, until you get to like zone 4, zone 5, if you're doing like a really structured session with those efforts, then you'll see them step up, which I'll kind of put on the screen right now to give you a little bit more clarity on the situation. But yeah, that's like a little short 4-minute segment of me talking about how recovering during these sessions is really important.